Well, ladies and gentlemen, we do have a huge update here on this Sunday. We've got three major general election pollsters updating, and all three of them are trending in Donald Trump's direction. Take a look at this. ABC, they've got their new poll, Harris +2. That's just a popular vote. Their last poll was Harris +6. And that's just one of three that we're going to talk about. So ABC, they normally underestimate Trump. Now they've got Harris only +2. If we got a result of in terms of just the popular vote, Harris being +2, Trump, he'd have like an 80 to a 90% chance to win the Electoral College if he loses the popular vote by around 2 points. But we also think with it being ABC and with their last poll being Harris +6, things are trending heavily in Trump's direction, not even just in terms of the Electoral College, but also possibly shrinking that popular vote margin to maybe under a point, to around a point, maybe under it, depending. I would say Harris probably wins the popular vote right now by about a point. If that happened, he would pretty much for sure win the Electoral College, which is all that matters, obviously, but that's an ABC poll. And again, the key thing is their last poll they did was Harris +6, which we all think is ridiculous. It's not true, but now they've adjusted and their new poll has come out 4-point shift to around +2. You can see CBS releasing their poll. They have Harris +3 over Trump in terms of just their national poll. That's minus a 1-point difference. Battleground states Harris is sitting at 50%, Trump at 49%. You can see independents. This is a little bit more accurate to me. I mean, certainly I don't think Harris is going to win the popular vote by 3 points, but Trump winning independents, I think probably by at least 6 or 7 points in terms of the actual election. This has him up by 4. And this is another thing that we're seeing, which to me, it's just kind of funny, the dynamic of it. Democrat voters who, by the way, did not vote for Kamala Harris. She was chosen as VP by Biden, and then they installed her after Biden had the horrible debate. But they're still fully on board with her, more so than Republicans with Trump, even though Trump, went through the entire process, won the primary, even with competitors, the establishment people like Haley. You also had DeSantis there, but it's just funny how that's split to where Democrats are fully on board with Harris. They didn't vote for her, but I mean, you put anyone in, they'll just vote for her. They'll just vote for them. But either it is kind of annoying to see 97-2 versus 94-6, because obviously that's going to help them if they get more of the Democrats voting for Harris than Republicans voting for Trump. I'm not sure if that's going to be in terms of how it ends up working out, but it is interesting. Another thing we're seeing here is you do have, this is another thing where it's like, we need men to go for Trump. And this is not surprising if this is a Harris +3, just general election popular vote. Men only going for Trump by 5, women going for Harris by 9. That's where it is right now. We need men to go for Trump. And listen, they're getting worried. That's why I don't think this probably isn't that accurate of a poll when you look at the crosstabs. I think Trump's going to win men by more than 5. If Harris was actually down by 5 legitimately, I don't think there'd be this full blitz to try and go out and get men to vote for. I think she's down probably by 9 or 10 nationally with men, and with women it's probably about 7 or 8. And if that holds, then Trump possibly could win the popular vote, or it will at least be within a point. Another thing I see just right off the bat here, this is definitely a different trend. So the 18 to 29, in terms of the polls that I've seen, Trump is doing way better than this, and in the seniors, Harris is doing way better than this. This has the Trump +15 in terms of seniors, but Harris winning 18 to 29 by like 25, 30 points. So that's a little bit different to me. You do have white people going for Trump +14. I would say like +16, +17. And so, yeah, so that is what it is. I think there are some things to look at in terms of Trump probably wins independents by more than 4. Trump wins men by more than 5. And then I think the 18 to 29s go for Trump a little bit at a little bit higher rate, but then they go, the seniors go for Harris at a little bit higher rate in terms of that poll. Either way, the battleground's basically 50-50. I mean, listen, whenever they do this is nothing. This doesn't mean anything. In terms of the battleground states, when you divvy them all up, it's 50 to 49. That doesn't tell us anything. Like, what does that mean? So you're basically saying it's tied, or Harris is barely up in the battlegrounds. We can't really interpret that data. You need to go state by state. But now, even when they go state by state, it's basically they're saying they're all tied. That's really what they're doing with a lot of these polls. Oh, was that CBS? Okay, so they did go state by state. Let's see. Arizona, Trump +1. North Carolina, Trump +1. Georgia, Trump +1. Pennsylvania tied. Wisconsin tied. Nevada, Harris +2. Michigan, Harris +2. Great. We got nothing from that. I mean, it is what it is. This is what they're all defaulting to this. Oh, it's all so close. It's within the margin. Trump is +1 and 3. Two are tied, and then Harris is +2 and 2. It is what it. I mean, to be fair, it doesn't surprise me that Nevada and Michigan are the Harris leans. Are these not even? They're not even lean. I guess tilt Harris. But I mean, dude, this is just. They're so close. I mean, listen, if you're Trump, you'll take this based on previous polling the past few years. NBC has released their new poll. Trump has gained 4 points in just the head-to-head versus Harris popular vote, tied at 48%. Full field, Trump goes to +6. Wow. That's including RFK Jr., Stein, and I think Stein's going to take some votes away from Kamala, and that could help Trump not only in a lot of the Rust Belt states, but also in terms of the popular vote. You could see Trump winning the popular vote in this scenario with RFK Jr. and Stein. RFK Jr. is going to be on the ballot in some states. A lot of the states he's not going to be. Generic ballot tied at 47. Amazing environment. You want to talk about, they need to stop doing the +2, +3 Dem sample when you've got Gallup saying it's a Republican +2, +3 environment, and you've even got, what is this, NBC saying it's it's a tied, basically zero environment. No one leads, 47-47 generic ballot. So that's great news for Republicans if that can hold. We remember the Democrats seemingly led that the past 3 or 4 cycles, really ever since Obama, where there were more Democrats than Republicans. But now things are shifting, the environment's shifting, and that's what we're seeing. We're seeing a lot more Republicans in terms of the voter registration in basically every single state. It's not just all of the Rust Belt or the swing states. It's every state is getting more Republican with voter registration. It's not that is a telltale sign, honestly. If every single state is getting more Republican, the country is shifting more conservative. Even the liberal states are getting more Republican. So maybe the generic ballot, maybe there doesn't need to be an oversample of Dem. Yeah, there really shouldn't be. This is not a Dem +2 or a Dem +3 environment. I'm sorry. It's just not, especially with Kamala Harris and how unlikable she is and how people think she doesn't deserve to be here. It's really just an even environment. You can see NBC, their new poll tied. It was from a Harris +5 to a tie. So that's NBC with a 5-point shift, possibly a 6-point shift if you include the full field with Jill Stein. You also do have CBS kind of really didn't move very much, but then you also do have CBS. They really didn't move very much, but then also ABC. So how about NBC and ABC shifting a combined 9 points against Harris? You had ABC with Harris +6. It's down to a +2. You had NBC shift to basically a tie from a Harris +4, +5. So these are huge numbers just in terms of the general popular vote. The only, the swing states, this is CBS. I mean, these are all within the margin. There's nothing, you can't tell anything from these. I mean, this is good news for Trump because of how he overperforms the polls. But again, it's like, there's really nothing. They're just going to use the whole narrative. Liberals are, it's too close to call. She's going to still win. Independents, Trump's too divisive. I mean, it's just like, we can't really take much from this other than the fact that Trump overperforms these polls significantly in a lot of cases. He doesn't even need to overperform that much in terms of Real Clear Politics, the overall average. I mean, you throw these into the average, Trump's still going to be likely around 287 total electoral votes if you take all of the averages combined in all the swing states. And I think probably right now you're looking at a 1-point Harris victory in terms of the popular vote, which would be amazing for Trump. It would signal for sure, I would say, a Donald Trump victory. You can see this is something we're watching. We saw Trump, and I reacted to it. This was like a week ago at this point, I think. Yeah, on the 7th. So this would have been on Monday. Trump took a crazy lead in Poly Market, and he has expanded it, which is pretty remarkable from that original, when someone bet $3 million on Trump winning, people said no, it would go back down. And I said there would be a correction, but there's really not been a huge correction. Donald Trump sitting +10 in terms of Poly Market right now to win the election. And it doesn't surprise me all that much that Trump is leading. It does surprise me that it's +10 at this point. I would figure it'd be like 52-46, 51-47, something like that. But people, I mean, you understand when it comes to, and people say, well, Poly Market is full of Republicans. It's just not true. Why did Harris go up so much in terms of her debate performance? Was her debate performance really that good to where she went up by like 7 or 8 points in a night? I mean, it's ridiculous. It's just, it's clear that the betting market realizes that Trump is the favorite when you factor in the human element of understanding that the polls have underestimated Trump in 2020 and 2016. And I'm not saying we need another underestimation, because we don't. We don't need another underestimation, because Trump's leading a lot of these aggregates, like in Michigan, like in Arizona, like in Georgia, like in North Carolina. Pennsylvania is basically tied. So I mean, the polls say Trump's going to win. I mean, it's not even like Trump needs an error. If Trump gets like a 2-point error, it's going to be a blowout. So that's what people have to understand. And Trump doesn't even need an error. So that's why people are like, look, Trump's going to win this easy. That's why I've said, even when Harris went ahead, I mean, Harris went ahead like, oh yeah, this is Republican, right? Harris goes ahead. I mean, Harris was legitimately ahead for a while. She was up around 6 or 7 points back in late September. And even then I said Trump was going to win, because you don't just base it off the betting, but as long as it's close, you look at the polls and you understand how they underestimate Trump. And now we don't even need them to underestimate him. Now you're getting all of the liberal pollsters have to adjust their popular vote, and they're coming down. And that's why you're seeing these new updates here in October. And oh, it was Harris +6. Now it's Harris +2. Oh, it was Harris +4. Now it's a tie. And if you bring in the full field, it's Trump +1 in terms of the popular vote. Really? And she's going to win? Come on. So now they're starting to all adjust because they have to. And now you're going to see a popular vote that's probably decided by about a point, if that. And if that's the case, Trump is basically sweeping all the rest. He's sweeping all the swing states, maybe outside of Nevada. But the bottom line is he wins. That's the point. And now you're talking about maybe a Virginia gets in play. We'll see maybe a 3 or 2 point victory for Harris there. It's going to get close. Maybe Minnesota's like I say Virginia's probably a 3-point victory right now for Harris. Minnesota, you look at the top experts, the top calculations, you average it out to around a 4.5 point victory for Harris in Minnesota. 4.5. It was 10 in 2020. Virginia was 10, or I think it was 8 in 2020. Virginia was 10 in 2020. It's going to come down significantly. And that's not even counting. I mean, you see what happened with Coachella last night. Trump, it's 100,000 people there. Trump's going to make up 7 or 8 points in California. That's good for the popular vote. Harris won it, or excuse me, Biden won it by 27. It's going to be like 20 or 19. That's going to be the margin. Trump's going to help the House in California and New York. And now Trump's having this huge rally at Madison Square Garden. It is crazy. But either way, these are good numbers for Trump. We're getting the updates here on this Sunday on all the major, I mean, really the rest, I think when it comes to the battleground states, it is what it is. I feel like we're not going to get really a consensus on anything, meaning pretty much every poll they're going to spit out, you're going to get like a Trump +1, then a Harris +1, then a tie, then a Trump +2, then a Harris +1. They're all going to be within the margin. So it's like there's not a lot you can take from it, because the thing is, at a certain point, like within the past month, we were getting pretty positive polls out of Arizona for Trump. It was +3, +2, +3, +1, +3, tie, +3. But we're not seeing that. Now we're seeing +1, tie, +1, tie, Harris +1, tie, Trump +1, tie. So there's no consensus with any of these states. And Nevada's come down because Harris was leading Nevada. Michigan's come down. Now Trump's leading that. Arizona's come down after Trump was up by like a 2.5. So they're all tightened. They're all tightened. And when they're tightened like that, that's good news for Trump, especially when you have a popular vote that's very tight as well. Although there are some other elements into the popular vote, like New York and stuff like that, which obviously Trump's going to do a lot better in New York, but he's not going to win the state, so he's not going to help. It's not going to help him in terms of electoral votes, but still, Trump is looking really good right now. All of the betting, the liberal betting markets now are turning. They're saying Trump's the favorite. But either way, guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on X. Link to that's always in the description.